two prediction markets are looking at the same headline and coming to totally different conclusions. Kalshi, Trump buys at least part of Greenland is around 22%. Polymarket, Greenland under U.S. sovereignty by end of 2026 is around 7%. That's not a small difference. That's somebody's probably smoking something territory. Today, I'm going to show you why these odds split, what the news actually changed, and the one detail that decides whether 22% is genius or free money on the no. Welcome back. This channel turns the news into tradable probabilities. So instead of arguing online, we ask, what would you bet at what price? And here's the game for this video. By the end, you'll decide if you're betting yes, no, or pass, and why. Prediction markets are simple. You buy yes shares if you think something happens, no shares if you think it doesn't. Prices roughly act like probabilities, so 22 cents is approximately 22%. Not perfectly, but close enough to think clearly. So why are we even talking about Greenland again? Because Trump reignited the Greenland idea publicly, framing it as national security, and the headline that got traders' attention.
Denmark says it will summon the U.S. ambassador over the appointment of a special envoy to Greenland and has warned Washington to respect its sovereignty.
He named a special envoy for Greenland to lead the charge.
You've named Governor Landry to be new special envoy to Greenland.
Yeah.
What do you see that role entailing, and is it still your intention that Greenland become part of the U.S.?
That's the difference between Trump says wild thing and Trump says wild thing. And now there's a guy with a job title. Denmark and Greenland's leadership pushed back. Basically, not for sale, not happening. So the real question isn't, is this a funny headline? Does this become a real process with real leverage? Or does reality slap it back into the ocean? Before I tell you what I'd bet, pause for 2 seconds. Which number sounds more right to you? 22% or 7%? Here's where people get wrecked. These aren't identical bets. Kalshi's question is basically, does the US purchase at least part of Greenland from Denmark by January 20th, 2029? Polymarket's question is more like, is there an official announcement that Greenland comes under US sovereignty by December 31st, 2026? Kalshi gives more time and asks about a purchase. Polymarket asks for a sovereignty outcome sooner. That alone explains a chunk of the spread. Now let's talk price action like we're watching a game. Kalshi has been hanging in the high teens/low 20s for a while, meaning traders never treated it as impossible. More like rare but not mythical. And when this week's headlines hit, it didn't explode to 60%. It mostly held around the low 20s. That's a huge signal. The crowd is basically saying, cool story, still hard to execute. And this is the moment people misread. No big spike doesn't mean no impact. It means traders price the headline as noise, not new information. When real surprises happen, markets gap like a crypto chart at 3 a.m. Here we didn't get a gap. We got more of a shrug, which implies one of two things. Traders already expected Trump to keep talking about Greenland, so the envoy thing didn't change the base probability much. Traders believe the real blocker isn't Trump's intent. It's Denmark plus Greenland saying no, plus political, legal friction. So the market didn't scream, this is happening. It whispered, this is still a long shot, but not a zero. If this ever got real, the stakes are massive. Arctic strategy, defense posture, resource access, shipping routes, basically the kind of geopolitical chessboard stuff that makes traders salivate and diplomats age 12 years in a week. But here's the important part for betting. Buying territory isn't like buying a company. You need agreement, legitimacy, political support, and a structure that counts under the market's rules. So when you buy yes, you're not betting on vibes. You're betting on a chain of events that all have to happen. Let's map the trader brains. Bull case, yes. Trump is serious and he'll use leverage, security, money, diplomacy to create a deal structure. It doesn't have to be full sovereignty tomorrow. It just has to qualify as a purchase of part within the rules. Bear case, Denmark and Greenland don't want this. Democratic politics matter. International backlash matters. The purchase idea is a headline machine, not a realistic endgame. The WTF wildcard case, some weird partial arrangement, lease-like, governance-like, base territory reclassification, something that's not annexation, but could still trigger the contract outcome depending on the rulebook. This is the trap. Most viewers bet the headline. Pros bet the settlement criteria. Here's my spicy, nonpartisan take. Polymarket at approximately 7% for sovereignty by end of 2026 feels pretty reasonable. That's a short timeline for a giant geopolitical move. Kalshi at approximately 22% by 2029 feels a little rich unless you believe the contract can be satisfied by a partial structure that's easier than full sovereignty. So what would change my mind? One headline, not Trump says, I want Denmark and Greenland open formal talks on a structured agreement, or anything that signals actual negotiation, not just posture. Until then, the market is pricing talk as if it might become paperwork, and paperwork is where dreams go to die. Quick disclaimer, this is not financial, legal, political, or gambling advice. Prediction markets are volatile. You can lose money. Do your own research and don't bet rent money on Arctic real estate plots. All right, your turn. Do you think the market is mispriced? Is Kalshi's approximately 22% too high? Is Polymarket's approximately 7% too low? Or are they both right because they're secretly asking different questions? Comment your play, yes, no, or pass, and the headline you think would move the odds the most. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Because the best opportunities in these markets usually show up when the crowd is trading emotion instead of definitions.